afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As head of the delegation and proud mother of 5 kids, I welcome you all to our parallel event. This event is hosted and run by students, members of the Utah International Mountain Forum, a coalition of student clubs at Utah Valley University. We also have Osh Technological University in Kyrgyzstan and Snow College with us today. We jointly advocate for the cause of sustainable mountain development, or SMD, in the state of Utah and globally. Mountain communities are already some of the most neglected and impoverished regions globally. Climate change has further pushed these regions into unlivable conditions. Having grown up in the rural mountains of Utah, I have seen the hardship mountain communities must overcome. Access to water is one of many constant worries, with the livelihood of many mountain people resting on adequate snowpack and favorable spring weather. As a member of Utah International Mountain Forum, I am able to learn and advocate for sustainable mountain development alongside my peers by hosting international events such as this, participating in service projects and fundraisers, just to name a few, through the Student Engaged Learning model at UVU. The Student Engaged Learning encourages students to work inclusively as a group on practical issues with a faculty member serving them as a mentor. UIMF also encourages students to learn how mountainous Utah has become one of the best in the nation economically. Utah has a strong history of women who have had to develop practices to overcome the dry, inhospitable climate of the Western United States through hard work, combined with a dedication to the needs of our family and community. In 2007, several prominent women leaders, such as human rights activist Elena Volner, the first female governor of Utah, Orleen Walker, Mountain Institute, Dr. Jane Pratt, and the honorary consul of the Kyrgyz Republic for the state of Utah, Dr. Daniel Butler, hosted the first International Mountain of the Women's Conference. In 2015, the 4th Women of the Mountain Conference was hosted by UIMF members via the Student Engaged Learning method. Since 2017, Utah International Mountain Forum has advocated for SMD through the Student Engaged Learning at every session of the Commission on the Status of Women, and has been highlighted in both the 2016 and 2019 United Nations Secretary General Report on Sustainable Mountain Development for the advocacy of mountain women, the only student group to have this honor in the world. It is my special privilege to further introduce our speakers today. We will first hear from Ms. Wendy Jiang, head of the Utah-China Friendship Improvement Sharing Hands Development and Commerce NGO. She will be followed by a representative from the Snow College Student National Organization, Catalina Cusano. Following Ms. Cusano, we will hear from Mr. Cody Conklin, Mr. Corey Armistead, and Mr. Nicholas Bradley, members of the Utah International Mountain Forum. Ms. Jiang.
Thank you. Our non-governmental organization is honored to sponsor these students who are speaking today through the Students Engaged Learning method, where students have planned and executed this event through a collective effort with us. They have dedicated much time and resources and have shown great potential in their role as stewards of our earth. It is these fine adults who will help combat the growing threat of climate change and its impact on mountain families, women, and children. Each grand environmental development comes from a certain divine pedigree. This is the reason it states in the universe, we as not responsible well. We are part of the ongoing improving the life circle. We in fulfilling a duty, shine with compassion for the struggle of other systems. You are all young compared to many trees, mountains, lakes, oceans, and ices around us. We have a good chance to join the noble before us and the upcoming generations Together, we are on this legacy of creating a new chapter, a better chapter, fostered in cooperation. The legacies we are going to meet in a way of wonder, then we will stay to one another. Thank you for letting me be part of your glorious journey. And we testify all the paths of life, such charity, we will dwell. For love and knowledge becomes our view. My friends, it is possible. Why? For it has begun. You are in. Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to thank the UN Commission of the Status of Women and our partners NGO for allowing us to speak at this highest global gender-focused forum. I address you on behalf of Snow College, my peers Philip Johnson, Ethan Wilkes, and Eric Iverson, and all of those who are fighting for the same cause of rural healthcare assistance, its correlation to the impact of climate change and the power women and students have to make a change. Healthcare services of all kinds are greatly limited when it comes to rural mountain regions. For a small mountainous town like Uimf to mountain regions in my home country of Argentina, the lack of healthcare accessibility, infrastructure, investment, and professional care has been affecting the lives of millions of people, decreasing their overall quality of life. Disasters due to climate change, including flooding, haze inversion, droughts, forest fires, etc., are further exacerbating the deterioration of the health of mountain region citizens. In Sanpete County, Utah, and Argentina, over 7% of babies are born with low birth health, with air pollution increasing that risk. Infants who are having complications must be sent away to larger hospitals, separating the mother and the child. According to the World Health Organization, this has been shown to decrease the quality of care given to small and sick newborns, resulting in unnecessary sufferings and death. Skin-to-skin contact between mother and baby have shown to reduce these infant deaths by as much as 40%, hypothermia by more than 70%, and severe infections by 75%. But how can students from this little college town make a difference? By proposing solutions. Through the raise awareness of such healthcare challenges in rural mountain regions. We're confident that a difference can be made for our communities. Students have a voice and our message is loud and clear. We're not looking for a couple more doctors or a small amount of investment that is just enough to add more materials in a hospital. We're looking for actual changes, and it begins with us. We urge the Commission to provide mountain regions with the attention, time, and importance that they deserve. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Cody Conklin. I appreciate this opportunity to speak here today at this highest gender forum of the United Nations. The Utah International Mountain Forum, UIMF, a coalition of student clubs at Utah Valley University, advocates for mountain women, girls, and families who are among the poorest and most neglected on national and international levels, to be within the focus of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The UIMF does so through a student-engaged learning, SEL approach, that encourages students to gain professional skills while addressing real-world issues on local and international levels, with faculty serving as mentors. Because of the UIMF, I personally was able to learn how to empower women in my community and contribute to SMD by observing International Mountain Day at UVU and a parallel event at CSW65 in 2021. In addition, I published research regarding COVID-19 and its effects on sustainable mountain tourism. This has helped me to understand how disaster preparedness is key to safeguarding the prosperity of women that were among those who experienced the disproportionate impact of the pandemic. The SEL model encourages me as a non-traditional student to bring with me my experience and knowledge from outside the university. Working full-time has provided me the opportunity to learn practical skills while working on projects and causes that meaningfully impact society. I'm fortunate to experience this in my career as well as in the university. I currently work resource software to small and medium businesses. Their mission statement sets a clear path for organization as it engages in business community. It is a people succeed. The company supported my peers at the UIMF and my efforts last year to raise funds through service projects. Funds allowed the service project of the Orem Linden Rotary Club to purchase coats and distribute them to children from low-income families at elementary schools in Utah County last December. I've seen firsthand quality, family matters, and other issues, not only in the business sector, but among local communities as well. It also promote causes that align with their values. This mission statement has led this organization to receive multiple awards celebrating its in the 2021 Shatter List from the Women Tech Council. HR's example is what the SEL model hopes to achieve as we graduate and enter the workforce. The SEL model is rooted in the hope that you can be an engaged learner wherever you are. Thank you.
Thanks, Cody. Good afternoon. My name is Corey Armitstead, and I am a senior at Utah Valley University, studying science with an emphasis in public law and philosophy of political science. As the son of a former educator, education was always a central focus in the home. The most important and fun a child receives is not from state-funded institutions or teachers, but from resources and knowledge. According to the September 2017 UNESCO Institute for Statistics report, more than half of children and adolescents are not achieving minimum proficiency levels in reading and mathematics. Proficiency with the highest rate in some countries reaching 81%. The second lowest proficiency scores in the world were in rural mountainous regions in Central and Southern Asia. Climate change and unforeseen events such as COVID-19 only exacerbate this issue for mountain communities. Extreme weather events and destroy and damage school buildings, leaving students without resources. 90% of countries adopted alternate means of learning during the pandemic, with 90% of those switching remote learning for pre-primary education, which is a child's fundamental learning and socialization period. From the same report, over 463, this must change. Resources must be available to each child in regular times and periods of difficult circumstances, particularly in mountainous regions where at-home learning is necessary. The student-engaged learning method gives impoverished regions the opportunity to adapt to their unique challenges. It fosters a network of students, families, and communities to provide a comprehensive learning experience and empower other families and peers, as well as encourages resources sharing. Further, when guardians are actively involved in children's education, it drastically improves learning. Basic involvement in parental networks makes a substantial difference, closing the gap almost entirely between advantaged and disadvantaged school neighbors, and children's education is enhanced. Innovations such as Elon Musk's Starlink enable everyone access to unlimited, unfettered information. Education of our youth isn't a later problem, it is a now problem that could worsen. Yet it only has every opportunity to get better through engaged learning. Students of all ages can be educated in not only why, but in how we must care for the planet to avoid man-made environmental disasters and mitigate them when they occur. The great mind of Nikola Tesla might have defined it best. What we now want is closer contact and better understanding between individuals and communities all over the earth, and elimination of egoism and pride, which is always prone to plunge the world into primeval barbarism and strife. Peace can only come as a natural consequence of universal enlightenment. Arming guardians with student-engaged learning facilities facilitates a livable and sustainable education that helps mitigate climate change and raises the empowerment of women, which will create overall general equality. As Nikola Tesla outlined, peace is the consequence of universal enlightenment, and universal enlightenment dispels the darkness of conflict. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicholas Bradley. I'm currently majoring in cybersecurity, minoring in national security studies at Utah Valley University. Over the past 2 years, I've worked as the Cybersecurity Club president to foster student-engaged learning model that has been developed and implemented by the Utah International Mountain Forum, a coalition of clubs at UVU, and have pushed for greater involvement in technology for women who live in mountainous areas. This cell model empowers women to develop skills in computer science, IT, and other tech-related fields that suffer from a large gender gap. Target 5B of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development emphasizes to enhance the use of enabling technology to promote the empowerment of women. Utah is one of the leading mountains that fosters the growth of tech companies and empowers women participants in technology and engineering. Utah has created its own tech sector, Silicon Slopes, with companies developing new technologies in artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. These companies also encourage students at UVU, and in particular women, to play a bigger role in emerging technologies. Xant, a tech company in Utah, provides 7 women students a Xant Scholarship for Electrical Engineering, a program put together to support women pursuing a career in computer science, in addition to providing free programming classes to young girls. Information technology could reduce air pollution and improve the health of people in mountainous regions, while also reducing carbon emissions. At the heart of this technological revolution is not silicon, but the talent that creates and implements these systems. It is the people, especially women, as much as the technology, that will curb carbon emissions. UVU has a number of clubs dedicated to supporting women in tech fields. Chief among these is Girls Who Code Club, allowing women participants to learn technical concepts, gain leadership skills, and complete college. These benefits are a direct result of the peer support system that develops from student-engaged learning. These practices and skills can be used in any mountainous area in any country due to the versatility and group learning that student-engaged clubs provide. Through the use of student-engaged learning, women in mountainous regions can more fully join the fight against climate change. The actions we take today will help to secure the future. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Mr. Nyongai Unkartar, an international UIMF member from Mongolia. Following him, we will hear from Mr. Rusden Scott, Mr. Stefan Atkinson, and Mr. Tristan Smith, members of the Utah International Mountain Forum, who recently presented to his ambassador, Harold Forsyth, permanent representative to the Organization of American States.
Major. So my home of Mongolia is truly country great geopolitical significance. We're proud to be the only country that is preserved its nomadic culture and traditions. However, the climate change has deeply affected our nation. Our social economic situation is significantly worse than it was 10 years ago. As a result, many things such as environment, health, population growth, and economic have declined. And the 2019 in Mongolia Voluntary National Review for the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, it outlines how extensive an impact of climate change has been for our country. Certainly, there is an extreme lack of water, freshwater resources, and scientists have confirmed that by 2030 there will be no fresh water left in Mongolia. Our city of Ulaanbaatar is one of the coldest, most populated in the world ranking in third global air pollution. Smoke is no longer just a local problem, but is causing extreme damage to a country's economy and health. Most cases of respiratory illness are caused by air pollution. Mongolia has allocated millions of dollars each year in combat smoke. Not definite results have been achieved. The people of Mongolia live a demanding lifestyle that requires hard work, with the woman of carrying the behavior load responsibilities. According to the 2019 Mongolia Voluntary National Report, in Mongolia is ahead of most Asia Pacific countries for gender equality, but challenges still nation and the women. The participation of women in economic and social and political decisions remains low. We don't have enough time to complete the solo this challenge, but we must do what we can to focus on the needs for the future generation. My experience with students engaged learning methods have given my opportunity to fight for a better life, both for myself and my country. Through this method, I've been personally advocate for Mongolian women. I hope to be able to return home and empower those voices of Mongolian women and girls through the student engaged learning method. So in the future, we can present a successful result to local and global leaders, the mitigation of climate change in Mongolia. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rustin Scott, and I'm a student of political science and global politics at UVU, an environmental activist and an artist whose work is in part inspired by the mountain landscapes of Utah. In addition to studying sustainable development in the context of Utah's mountains, I will be in India this fall conducting independent research on sustainable mountain development in the Himalayas and will represent the Utah International Mountain Forum at the Integrated Mountain Initiative Summit in Ladakh. It is my great honor this morning to speak on the promise and importance of student and community efforts in developing effective strategies for the challenges presented by climate change to mountain communities globally. Mountain environments are some of the most fragile and vulnerable in the world, but these areas are often overlooked despite already experiencing profound effects due to climate change, an existential crisis that threatens to plunge these delicate ecosystems into catastrophe. For example, Utah is home to the largest hypersaline lake in the world. At 3 times the surface area of the Dead Sea, the Great Salt Lake is the largest inland body of water on the Pacific Flyway, and its billions of brine shrimp are critical to many millions of migratory birds. In winter, the snowstorms caused by the lake effect create what we proudly call the greatest snow on Earth, fueling a $1.4 billion ski industry. But the Great Salt Lake is drying up, exposing vast tracts of lake bed, over 750 square miles so far. As it dries, it exposes dangerous arsenic deposits, which are released as dust into the air we breathe. This is a health concern particularly hazardous to women and their unborn children, pregnant women particularly. The dust then settles on the mountains, melting snow faster and threatening mountain ecosystems and the tourism that's so vital to the local economy. Issues of water conservation as we face in Utah are practically ubiquitous to mountain communities all over the world. At UVU, we are taking a particularly unique approach to addressing these challenges through our student-engaged learning model, where students work collaboratively as a group to engage student. I returned to school later in life out of a desire to make a greater impact in the lives of underrepresented people across the globe. As part of the model of student-engaged learning employed at UVU, I've taken an active role in raising awareness of mountain issues, from local grassroots efforts to engaging with national and even international activities like this CSW event. Through the student-engaged learning model, my fellow students and I, many of whom are also non-traditional students, have been encouraged and empowered, not only to take advantage of existing opportunities to create change, but to create our own opportunities. When I saw the potential to conduct research in India and form connections to other sustainable mountain development organizations internationally, I designed an independent solo research project and took it to my faculty mentor, who pointed me in the right direction, and now the project is in the process of becoming a reality. The battle to give a voice to mountain peoples requires the kind of student-led engagement used by UVU fosters. It requires the active participation and education of students of all ages and backgrounds, particularly women and girls, whose value as researchers, activists, and community leaders cannot be understated. In the mountain deserts of Utah, in the Indian deserts of Ladakh, and in every country in the world. Thank you.
My name is Stephen Atkinson. I am a non-traditional student at Utah Valley University, studying political science with a concentration in global politics. We, as students at Utah Valley University, advocate for sustainable mountain development in Utah through a student-engaged learning model. The student-engaged learning model encourages students to solve real-world problems as a group, with a faculty member serving as a mentor. I have learned from the student-engaged learning methods that mountain communities globally share similar challenges, whether it is tourism in Peru or in Wyoming, women's rights in Utah or Yemen, water rights in Montana or Switzerland. Mountain communities worldwide have a unique connection, which can be used to birth together towards a goal of sustainable mountain development. I originate from the U.S. mountain state of Wyoming, in the USA, permanently guaranteeing women their inherent right to vote and hold office. On September 6, 1870, in Laramie, Wyoming, Louisa Swain became history by becoming one of the first women to cast an electoral ballot under laws giving women full civil and political equality with men. These same laws were never changed, even as Wyoming was admitted to the Union in 1890. Wyoming has continued this trend of women's development and equality. As of 2022, the state of Wyoming is ranked 13 out of 50 states in the United States for the empowerment of women in politics. The last few years have been record-setting years for women running for office across the country, and we see similar trends happening in Utah. In my Sustainable Mountain Development class, I am researching the role of women in the mountain communities within Yemen. I was thrilled to learn that Ms. Carmen, a Yemeni woman, won the Nobel Peace Prize of 2011 for her work in the nonviolent struggle for the safety of women and for women's rights. It is remarkable that Wyoming and Yemen can show how mountain communities are benefiting from women in leadership and provide opportunities for each of them to share those experiences. The example of Ms. Carmen and Louisa Swain can encourage women and girls in mountainous states to bring equality to women and provide them a higher quality of life and learning. Thank you.
The president of Utah Valley University Rotaract, a student club that works under the Orem Linden Rotary Club, a chapter of the International Rotary Club. Through working with the Rotary Club, I hope to strengthen the voice of mountain communities in Guatemala and Mexico, the two countries of my heritage. The mountain communities, family, and women in Guatemala and Mexico are some of the most neglected and impoverished in the world. Currently in Guatemala, they are suffering from emerging disasters due to climate change, particularly the catastrophic crop failure over the past 7 years, leaving millions on the brink of starvation. In Mexico, climate change is exacerbating inequalities in employment, health, housing, and access to food and water, especially for women and girls in these mountain regions. Moreover, not only do these communities often face violence and oppression from drug cartels and crime, but due to their isolation, these mountain regions often don't have access to political leaders nor an opportunity to voice their unique needs. Access to quality education, especially secondary education, is a rare commodity for many of these rural villages. Due to their geopolitical isolation and lack of funds, many children don't have access to education beyond the 5th grade. They must give up their schooling in order to assist in the survival of and care of their family. Or worse yet, some are forcibly recruited into organized criminal groups. I am proud to come from a heritage that has fought for the rights of education for all ages. In the small town of Cunen, Guatemala, my grandmother and grandfather, Aurora Juarez and William Penrod, were able to set up a secondary school to provide education for the grades 7th through 12th. From 1971 to 2013, this school grew from 20 students and 5 teachers to over 200 students and 40 teachers. This opportunity to teach in other rural communities throughout Guatemala. Some were able to bring a voice to their communities by taking their education to fight for the rights of mountain communities in their local, national, and national governments. With my fellow Rotary, the same quality of these challenges, a better living to these rural mountain regions. I asked during a recent meeting with permanent resident of Peru to the Organization of American States of Guatemala to the OAS so that we can reach out to these educational institutions in the country who might benefit from this model to mitigate these challenges. Thank you.
We'd like to take a moment and thank Dr. Rusty Butler for joining us representing the NGO Russian Academy of Natural Science. Both Dr. Butler and Dr. Jiang have given us students the opportunity to speak with you today. Next, we are pleased to have our delegation from Kyrgyzstan, members of the Osh Technological University. Having worked together since 2012, UIMF and OSH2 have built a strong friendship based on mutual respect and a desire to advocate for mountain communities. We will first hear from Dr. Almas Atibekov, Chair and Professor of OSH2's Management Department. He'll be followed by his 3 students, Ms. Gonora Amatova, Ms. Nazik Erkenbekuzi, and Mr. Mausobek Zarovkov. We will then hear from Ms. Tatiana Panfelinko, the faculty member at OSH2.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Dear colleagues, my greetings to you on behalf of the mountain communities of Kyrgyzstan. During the fall semester of 2021, teachers and students of Osh Technological University, the OSH2, began to apply student-engaged learning technology in the acquisition of new in-demand skills. This technology has been mastered and used since 2011 by Utah Valley University in the USA under the guidance of Dr. Bakhtibek Abdrisayev. Our university has been collaborating with Utah Valley University since December 2012, when their delegation visited OSH and jointly held an international of climate change on the living conditions of mountain communities. The purpose of this technology is to provide students with skills that allow them to solve practical problems together as a group activity in which students must learn from each other. Teachers in this technology should give students advice on how to cope with the tasks, but not direct instructions on how to solve them, acting instead as a mentor. Since September 2021, a group of teachers and students of OSH2 has been holding weekly online meetings to master this kind of group activity under the guidance of Alifa Thompson, a student at the University of the Utah Valley. Using this technology, our student Abibilayev Bayel prepared a report on the state of tourism in Kyrgyzstan, which he delivered on December 2nd during an event dedicated to the International Mountain Day. Tatiana Panfilenko assisted these students as a mentor when they needed her advice. Today's event is the result of many days of work under the guidance of our colleagues from Utah. Preparation for it to a large extent allowed our students and colleagues to master a new methodology for managing student initiatives. Further, Nazik Erkinbekizı, Gulnur Ammatova, and Maisalbek Zakirov, 3 students from OSH2, will make their presentation with Tatiana Panfilenko, sharing their thoughts on the topic of the event as a student's mentor. Thank you.
It is a great honor to speak here with you today. I am proud, as a student of OSH Technological University, to contribute this event to the celebration of the International Year of Sustainable Mountain Development, declared by the United Nations General Assembly last year as per request of the Kyrgyz Republic. I would like to share with you the experience I have had as a mountain woman in Kyrgyzstan. 2 years ago, at the initiative of my mother, we went to a village located in the Aksi district of the Jalabat region. The poverty there was immense. The first thing I noticed was a worn dirt road, sprinkled along the sides with enormous sized boulders. Having noticed that there was no reliable public transport, I thought that the problems would be limited to this. Of course, behind the beautiful landscapes and fresh air, away from the bustle of the city, something was hiding which didn't occur to me. Women, and often their daughters, are the most vulnerable in these rural conditions. Their rights are limited, with wives and mothers simply a representative of the weaker sex. Living in the mountains for a woman means they must give up a lot of modern opportunities and often their dreams. Domestic violence is on the rise. According to the 2020 Kyrgyzstan Voluntary National Report for the UN Sustainable Development Goals, domestic violence have increased by 4,800 cases per year. 20% of marriages in Kyrgyzstan are by abduction, with 6% forced marriage. Marriage by abduction occurs twice as often in rural areas as in cities. In addition to the above difficulties, natural disasters have remained a major danger for mountain camels and women, avalanches, landslides, earthquakes, and more. There is also a lack of doctors and communication. Climate change is only adding to these dangers, increasing the rate of natural disasters and food scarcity. Together, National Mountain Forum members, my peers at OSH Technological University, and I have been working the last years and to bring attention to these neglected women. True, the student-engaged learning method, we were able to advocate for our home by working as a group to raise awareness and develop solutions together. This model we are planning to implement to our university to empower our own women. Thank you.
Hello, dear colleagues. Salamat. My name is Nazik Erkinbek-kızı. I am delighted and proud to participate in this event as a part of the 66th session of the UN Commission on the Status of Women. I am a student at Osh Technological University, which is located in Kyrgyzstan, a country where the number of mountain ranges reaches over 90% of the land. I grew up in this mountainous republic and understand the pressing problems which women and girls face here. Mountains cover most of the also faced. At least half of the world's population depends on mountains resources and are home to millions of people. In many mountains areas within Kyrgyzstan, winter snow accumulates, which gradually turns into water in spring and summer. Unfortunately, due to increasing global warming, the ice that accumulates in the winter melts early, and the ice on the peaks has decreased, leading to depletion of the reservoirs of water. Due to poor water guilt, ordinary women experience a number of negative health effects to the extent that they cannot give birth to children and become ill due to an incurable disease. In winter, they must desperately carry water from distant places, many times drowning or falling ill with the cold. I was saddened by the fact that women in remote mountain areas of my country who were educated were neither allowed to work nor to fulfill their dreams. With even the forced marriage of young girls continuing. Working with Utah International Mountain Forum has given me many opportunities, including to learn through student intake, learning how to improve myself through group efforts with my peers. As one example, we were able to jointly celebrate an International Mountain Day celebration at Utah Valley University. I want to provide this opportunity to others by implementing similar model at OSH2, where students will work on practical problems together as one team, and our teachers will help us as mentors. My presentation today is evidence of students of OSH2 implementing this model with the American colleagues. Thank you.
My name is Dariel. It's a great honor for me to speak on behalf of the Technological University at this event at the United Nations. We live in mountains, Kyrgyzstan with many issues related to climate change and disaster risk management. While the issues and important, everything is now being greatly affected by proliferation of conflicts. On the border is our mountainous neighbor Tajikistan. These conflicts are constant to do disagreement related to land and pasture ownership. As well is water uses. In July 2019 on conflict left 19 Kyrgyz citizens and 10 Tajik citizens were dead with one fatality. On April 28, 2021, Armenian agreement of the ownership of the main water and distribution system left 108 injured and killed 55 people, including one child. Still, water conflicts happen with latest on January 27th, 2022 in Batken region on the same border. This conflict causes significant damage to local communities, mountain families, and women. Infrastructure and housing were destroyed, and 2,400 Kogus were evacuated. This region is the Kogus government except the United Nations on other donor to asset in the return internally displaced people to permanent residence. As well as this in the restoration of destroyed objects. This is past year. Osh Technological University was worked closely with student members of Utah International Mountains Forum. A coalition of students and clubs at Utah Valley University together through the student engaged learning method. We have found a community and friendship while jointly promoting our mountain coast. I hope to be able to bring this same unity in particular with our neighbors through the contribution on the young to the conflict resolution from both sides by implementing to the student engaged learning method and to combine two efforts of Kogus and Tajik players. Thank you.
Hello, participants and honored guests. It's a great honor for me to take part in this conference. I am Tatiana Panfirenko, a teacher of geology at Osh Technological University, here in the Kyrgyz Republic. Since the fall of 2021, my students and I, as a mentor, have been involved in a joint project with Utah Valley University in the United States to develop student initiative through the student engaged learning model. This unusual model has been active at Utah Valley University since 2011, and now we are using it at our own Osh Technological University. Dr. Bakhtirbek Abdrisaev and Vice President of Utah International Mountain Forum and student Alida Thompson have been a great help to us in achieving our goals. Together, we highlight the complex issues facing mountain communities. This has been a great program where the interaction of our two cultures allows students and faculty to see different perspectives of the challenges in the lives of women, of mountain women. You just had an opportunity to witness how our partnership enriched each of us, and as a result, all members of the group with new knowledge and skills to improve themselves and surrounding world in accordance with the goals of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Thank you.
We are proud to have such a strong advocates a part of our delegation. Our final four speakers today will be first Ms. Alexandria Lamb, Ms. Carolina Yayo, and Mr. William Clark, members of the Utah International Mountain Forum. Finally, we will hear from the president of the Utah International Mountain Forum, Mr. Dallas Karen, who will conclude our meeting today. We will then open the floor for questions. Ms. Lamb?
Greetings to you from mountainous Utah. It is a great honor for me to speak here. From a young age, mountain women, as we also know from our experiences here in Utah, are responsible for their health and later the health of their children and families. Unfortunately, healthcare is often not feasible due to lack of information and disinformation, hurting the female, the family unit, and ultimately society. These challenges often revolve around nutrition, menstrual cycles, and reproductive health. Climate change rapidly increases health problems such as respiratory illnesses, cardiovascular illnesses, waterborne diseases, and more. We must be proactive in providing women within mountain communities access to timely information, thus giving them the education and empowerment to make informed decisions regarding the health of themselves and also with their families. This implementation of knowledge is what we do through the student engaged learning model here at Utah Valley University. It enables the students to be empowered by learning as a group through hands-on experiences. Through the Utah International Mountain Forum, I share my experiences and skills with other members to bring awareness of the limited access to healthcare in mountain communities. In 2018, I worked with the Days for Girls NGO to provide health information to my community in the Wasatch Mountains of Utah. We created reusable menstrual products and health provisions to be sent worldwide, providing sustainable tools and information for women and girls in impoverished regions. Today, I can take that experience to help bring awareness to mountain communities and give these communities the same help. This semester in my research, I have been comparing Utah with Slovenia, a country known for terrain that is 90% mountainous. I was glad to learn that Slovenia has been on the leading edge of sustainable mountain development, especially in healthcare. According to the Slovenia Voluntary National Report in 2017, they have significantly increased access to health screenings and mental health awareness statewide, bringing quality service closer to all women. They also actively share reproductive and maternal health knowledge with third world countries. Women are the cornerstone of the family, society, and the world. So what can we do? Through the student engaged learning method, students, educators, and leaders can work towards bridging a divide between women and health information and assisting our communities and those abroad. By working collectively, we can create an availability of data for mountain women, thus improving the world's overall health. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Carolina Jaujo. I'm an international student at Utah Valley University, majoring in political science. I was born and raised in Lima, Peru, but my father and my mother's ancestors come from the central and southern mountain part of Peru. The mountainous areas of Peru are rich in different ways, such as traditions, natural resources, etc., as the rest of the country is too. Mountain ecosystems are considered fragile ecosystems and, at the same time, key to Peru's sustainable development. Mountains provide water, food, energy, minerals, and recreation where culture and biodiversity in all its forms are preserved. They also supply fresh water to 50% of the world's population. I had the opportunity to visit some mountain areas of my country, and it was hard to see that they do not have access to basic human needs, such as quality education and healthcare. And this gets more and more common when you visit more far cities. Climate change also negatively affects this area of the country. Peru is one of the country members of the Mountain Partnership, which is a voluntary alliance of governments and organizations committed to working together with a common goal of achieving sustainable mountain development around the world. The Mountain Partnership stimulates initiatives such as improve quality of life and sustain health environments in the world's mountain regions. In 2006, Utah Valley University joined the Mountain Partnership as the first academic institution in North America. In 2012, Utah Valley University hosts the third Women of the Mountain Conference in Puno, Peru. Dr. Sara Ulloa, with 5 UVU students through a service project, hosts that forum as a preparatory event for the Rio 20 UN conference in Brazil. I want to add my voice to encourage more people to start to worry about the mountain areas of our planet and mountain population. They are vital for us and for the future generations. And if we continue ignoring them, we will lose greatly. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is William Clark, and I'm a student at Utah Valley University. As a native of Utah in the United States, I have seen the effects climate change can have on mountain communities. These challenges require all of us to work together. Marginalized members of communities around the world, especially women, must take an active part in the development of climate change policy. Climate change has caused extreme forest fires and harsh droughts affecting communities throughout Utah and the world. In 2020, Utah had over 1,500 forest fires. Action needed to be taken, and legislators rose to the occasion. Policy proposals in the state of Utah may provide a framework that other mountain regions can build upon to better incorporate the voices of women and girls. The One Utah Roadmap, created by Utah Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Henderson, the second woman in the state's history to hold the office, seeks to address and mitigate the effects of climate change in Utah. The plan includes investing in multimodal transportation options, delivering high-profile sustainability projects such as an inland port, and laying the groundwork for an air quality and climate change solutions laboratory. Such bold actions are desperately needed, and these goals highlight the benefit of collaboration to address the climate crisis. At the national level, their efforts have been supported by the Utah delegation to the United States House of Representatives. Congressman John Curtis recently established a caucus on climate change in the House of Representatives that has been joined by Congressman Blake Moore, Congressman Burgess Owens, and Congressman Chris Stewart. Another solution to climate change has been through education. Many courses at Utah Valley University utilize a student-engaged learning model, in which students collaborate as a group to solve real-world problems with a faculty member serving as a mentor. Student-engaged learning empowers students and prepares them to collaborate on complex issues. This approach gives all students, especially women and minorities, a voice to share their experiences. It is this type of approach, but on a global scale, that progress on climate change policy will be reached. The insights of women and girls, especially those from rural and mountain communities, are vital. These individuals experience firsthand the negative effects of climate change. As their voices are heard and views implemented, we will ensure that the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are reached, promising a better future for all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dallas Karen, and I am the current president of the Utah International Mountain Forum, UIMF, a coalition of student organizations at Utah Valley University. Our coalition is proud to host today's event to advocate for mountain women as our contribution to the observation of the International Year of Sustainable Mountain Development declared by the United Nations General Assembly last December. This UN document acknowledges that despite the progress that has been made in promoting the sustainable development of mountain regions and the conservation of mountain ecosystems, including their biodiversity, the prevalence of poverty, food insecurity, social exclusion, environmental degradation, and exposure to the risk of disasters is still increasing, particularly in developing countries, and access to safe and affordable drinking water and basic sanitation, as well as to sustainable modern energy services, continues to be limited. It has been my great honor to watch these students work together on various initiatives with focus on the advocacy of mountain communities over the past year and the results of their efforts as they hosted this event together today via the Student Engaged Learning model, or SEL. SEL encourages students to work as a group on certain practical issues and learn professional skills while university faculty mentor them in that endeavor. Through months of collaboration by using the SEL model, student members of the UIMF have been able to teach each other and students and faculty of Osh Technological Institute in the mountainous Kyrgyz Republic, as well as Snow College in Utah, how to jointly not only handle logistics and preparations for this event, but also their own presentations advocating for these mountain women and girls to be in the focus of both the CSW66 and 2030 agenda for sustainable development. We express thanks to our sponsors such as Russian Academy of Natural Science, Utah-China Friendship, Improvement, Sharing Hands Development and Cooperation, two non-governmental organizations in consultative status with UN Economic and Social Council, Utah Valley University, Osh Technological University, and Orem Linden Rotary Club for their continued support and efforts of all UIMF members and their other individuals that made today such a success. This event, hosted by UVU students through the SEL model, demonstrates why UIMF was highlighted for Mountain Women Advocacy by the United Nations Secretary General's report on SMD in 2016 and 2019, the only student group globally, and how through our SEL, our coalition became a full-fledged contributor to the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, with a special focus on mountain communities, families, and women.
We want to thank you all for attending today through Zoom and Facebook Live in our advocacy for mountain regions and the student engaged learning method. I have personally seen lives changed and miracles happen through the SEL method. We'd like to extend an invitation for questions. We have about 30 minutes.
Okay, good evening. How are you? And thank you for having me. My name is Maureen from Mombasa, Kenya. I'm glad I joined your meeting. And it has been impactful for me this short time because I run a community-based organization here in Mombasa. And we also work with, education with children in school to improve literacy level. And particularly, I've been interested in the point where you mentioned that you work with us, college or university students as volunteer to create change in the community. So my main question is basically, how are you able to do that? Because right here, time is tough, COVID and everything. And we have kind of like the level of volunteerism has gone down and the economy is tough. So if you engage young people, they'll expect, for example, a stipend. So how are you able to engage these young people? Is there any promise of stipend? And if there is no any, how are you able to put them together in a way that they are part of this change voluntarily? And how then do you keep sustainability to ensure that most students are also interested in joining? And probably how has it improved students' lives so that I am thinking of cascading what you're doing here in Mombasa, in Kenya. So if I get this, I'll be able to, draft and keep in touch and help my community better. Asante.
That's a really good question. And it's what makes the student engaged learning very invaluable, because it can be done with as little or as much resources as available. For instance, where we have a lot of non-traditional students who are older and traditional students who are who are 18, fresh out of secondary school. But the way our model works is we learn from each other. We take my experiences and their experiences, and we combine them to learn and grow together, because we understand, especially in mountain regions and regions like Kenya, where there is a lot of poverty, there's not a lot of resources to go. But you guys have had to overcome so much that you can take those experiences and learn from each other. One of our things we do is advocacy for mountains, because we understand a lot of times that they don't have a lot of resources. As you've heard, they're struggling through water. They're very impoverished too, but they have had to learn how to adapt to that, how to find their own water. And a lot of these moms and women are very strong. They've been raising their children. And from what I understand, in Kenya, it's a lot the same. The women take a lot of that family stuff and they're teaching them. So if we could take all those moms and put them together to learn and then give them the resources they need to reach a global market, how can they then encourage their youth to grow? I have 5 kids. So all these activities, I bring my family with me. We do it together. And that encourages my children to want to involve. We make sure everything we do, we write it up and we put it online. So we could use that for resumes. We can use that to improve. So we're not just giving that information globally, but we're increasing our own marketability so we can get better jobs. We combine it all and we can create a network that's globally to help each other pull ourselves out of poverty. Does that make any sense?
Alexa, may I add maybe as a mentor? Maureen, it's important I also learned that methodology myself here at Utah University, and I liked it. No, a lot depends on the teacher. Because if you would be able to, again, encourage students to work through the student clubs, which are not yet used in more effective way, yeah? Usually student clubs which exist under the universities, it's an enormous resource. Usually student clubs are, again, focusing students to work together, minimum 6 students jointly. And, they have a lot of incentives for students to do that. For example, here at Utah University, they are requiring from me as a mentor not to micromanage, but making sure that students handle all of the things on their own, but to give them direction. And that's why I need to think how to give the direction. And one of the really tips here, yeah, you need to find the really dedicated students who are non-traditional like Alithia. She has a life experience. She also works. She has a lot of own skills. No, the only question here that she doesn't have yet formal certificate or diploma, but she is like me. She has all of that knowledge, and you need to inspire her and work with her peers. So 6, 7 of them, if they work on regularly. For the teacher, the only thing on a weekly basis to make sure to check which way they go, and they usually do everything you see like here, and again, the power of this our again model that the more non-traditional students you have, I mean, I had a lot of previously experiences working with the single moms. One of my students was a mom with the 10 students, but she was so knowledgeable, always. The only problem for the teacher to find the right language, because people there, those people are knowledgeable, and at the same time they have more knowledge even than me, and they're quite skeptical, and therefore, if you'd be able to do that, and clubs, clubs at any university, this is a great resource. And one more thing, that clubs also require students to self-fund the activities. It means they need to raise money in order to any kind of activities which they're again initiating, they have to fund on their own. This is a great resource. I'm not saying students, I'm giving you money, I'm saying go around and look for money. I'm just show the direction, but no, rest of the things you see, Alif and all of the students, they did in a great way.
And like he's saying about that resources, it's, as I add to that, one of the things we've learned here is where to find that money, because a lot of us don't have those resources. We have families, we have to provide for our schooling. And so we've been taught and learned where to find it from either non-government organizations or local charities where we can get it, so we have that to go on. It's a step-by-step learning where we all learn together to really become as powerful and empowered as possible. Thank you. Anyone else? The floor is yours.
You have a link to our paper.
Yes.
Which is explain academic paper explaining how methodology works, and since 2011.
We were lucky to be able to speak directly to the UN about our experience, and it was quite an amazing opportunity because we had 3 students from Utah International Mountain Forum, and they only had 3 minutes to speak. But within these 3 minutes, they were able to provide all the information about our model, our mountain, and it's one of the things we learn is it shows how we do things with limited time, little resources.
I will now want to call, I'm told, 3 speakers from the Russian Academy of Natural Sciences. They will take 1 minute each. Start, sir. I will tell you, finish, you go. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank the Russian Academy of Natural Sciences for allowing us to speak in support of mountain communities, who are among the poorest and most neglected globally. Climate change and migration make their living conditions even worse. According to a recent study by the FAO and UN and the Mountain Partnership Secretariat, an estimated 39% of the mountain population in developing countries are vulnerable to food insecurity. From 2000 to 2012, there was a 30% increase in the number of mountain people vulnerable to food insecurity, with their population only increasing by 16%.
2 SDGs under the review of this forum contain 3 mountain targets, and it must address the challenges facing mountain communities. Target 6.6, by 2020, protect and restore water-related ecosystems. Restoration and sustainable use of terrestrial and inland freshwater ecosystems and their services, in particular, mountains and drylands. Target 15.4, by 2030, ensure the conservation of mountain ecosystems, including their biodiversity, in order to enhance their capacity to provide benefits that are essential for sustainable development. Since 2007, Utah Valley University, with the support of the Mountain Partnership, involves students, including non-traditional ones, in the implementation of mountain targets. Members of the Utah International Mountain Forum, a coalition of student clubs at Utah Valley University, gain professional skills through an engaged learning model by addressing real-world problems of mountain communities with a faculty member serving them as a mentor.
Utah International Mountain Forum members have already advocated for the mountain women during the 62nd session of the Commission on the Status of Women. Students, jointly with their Kyrgyz peers, reported about hosting the International Women of the Mountains Conference as implementation of the UN Resolution International Year of the Mountains 2002. The 2016 UN Secretary General's report on sustainable mountain development featured recommendations provided by the Utah International Mountain Forum in the latest conference document about the role women play in implementation of 2 mountain targets. Through the model, students raised and contributed $250,000 to mountain targets adoption and implementation. The model demonstrates that students are able and must play an active role in the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It can be used by universities in rural and mountainous states worldwide to provide similar benefits to students and to transform mountain communities towards sustainable and resilient societies. We thank you very much for your attention.
I want to thank the 3 representatives of Russian Academy of Natural Sciences, speaking on time in English. I will now want to call, I'm told.
This was one of the best experiences we've had at Utah International Mountain Forum. As most people know, it is really hard to get our whole mission down in 3 minutes. But learning how to communicate that, learning how to take what we have and condensing it and expanding it, and how the best way to advocate and learn from each other has been a great experience. I had someone from Facebook make a comment asking what we advocate for. And so we really have 3 things we focus on here. We advocate for mountain communities, especially because if you would look in the 2030 agenda that the UN has for sustainable development goals, there's only 3 targets that talk about mountain communities. And we feel like since they are so impoverished too, they need a little extra voice out there so they can have that attention and resources that they need to pull themselves out of poverty. We also advocate for students of all ages. It doesn't matter whether you're 80 or you're 15. We all have experiences, we all have a desire to learn, and we all have a voice that we feel is important to give to the world. And it's only by realizing we're all more the same than different that we are going to be able to have a world that works on sustainable development goals, that can pull each other up through globalization to become a superpower, to become advocacies for each other and learn from each other. So we're very inclusive. It doesn't matter race, gender, country you're from, what age you are, we include everybody in our model. And the third thing we do is we do it through student engaged learning. That's the group model that we learn from each other. With a faculty member guiding us as a mentor, so that we're kind of thrown in the fire. When we do a project, we do everything. We do the technical, we do the logistics, we do the speaking, but we have a mentor that guides us and helps correct us if we overstep or if we're going down a wrong path. And that helps us to learn because it's all hands-on. And so those are our 3 missions. And we do it with Kyrgyzstan, Colombia, Mexico, here in Utah with Snow College. We try to work as much as possible and as inclusive as we can. I wonder if we could ask some of our speakers about what their advocacy is, what their personal mission is, and what brought them to our forum, if that is okay. Ms. Lenkapilova, would you mind kind of sharing about who you are?
Yes, sure. I'm a member of International Women's Peace Group, and we are having many initiatives regarding the peace education. So it doesn't matter if it's like peace education for women, for the leaders, or also for the children. So we are trying to plant this, the seed of peace to every human heart that we believe that it will change the world.
Thank you. I agree, especially with how turmoil the world is right now. Finding women who can work together, grow. I have a husband, so I understand how sometimes we have to talk down our men and love them and work together. So I really appreciate that. If we could hear Miss Christiana, did I say that right?
Yes, yes, thank you. No, it is very interesting. I'm from Austria, and we have also some projects also at times, you know, with people on the mountains, farmers on the mountains, women that don't have much support. And but I'm also in the European Women's Lobby, and it is very, very interesting for me to hear your initiative. And but what I wanted even to ask is, I mean, how is it financially? Is it not very difficult at times for your projects, the finance? And how does every student group do it on themselves, or do you have it over the university? Thank you.
No, thank you. It depends. As we're a coalition of student clubs, there's about 4 of us that are all under the Utah International Mountain Forum head. And part of them get funds from the university through doing activities, but most of us pull it from fundraisers, grants, any activity that we do where we have to travel, or for instance, this is my personal Zoom, which I have gotten through grants to help host this. We don't go through the school for it. We do it ourselves. But what's nice is a lot of our activities, we try to keep as low fund as possible. We do a lot of things virtually. We do a lot of things when we have a diplomat that may be in the area, we petition to get together and then present our cause to them. That was what we did with OAS, is His Excellency Ambassador Forsyth was visiting Utah Valley University, and we were able to get a one-on-one meeting with him, with just him and a small group of Utah International Mountain Forum students. And we presented our cause to him. We explained what we did, who we are. And it was very, very beneficial to him and to us. He learned he didn't know a lot about mountain communities and how much they were struggling. And we were able to have that discussion and improve on each other and learn from him, and he learned from us. And it didn't cost anything. It just cost a little bit of our time, but both of us grew so much. And that's what we do, is we really try to work together. There's some links in our chat with a lot of the activities that we do. And we, as we said, we do everything by writing up. And so we want that, all our experiences, for other students to learn from too. So we write how we do it, what resources we needed, where we got those resources. And if you want, I can send you that link, and you can see how little we've had to spend monetarily to get these experiences, to learn from them. And like I said, we work with Osh in Kyrgyzstan, which is under some major economic problems right now, especially with the war and COVID-19. And they have been able to do amazing things with such limited stuff. They've spoken here, they worked through International Mountain Day, and Kyrgyzstan is the country that petitioned for the Sustainable International Year of the Mountain. That is this year through the UN.
may Christine, please look at this link which I posted on chat. In 2015, our students hosted Ambassador Martin Sajdik, a permanent representative of Austria to the United Nations and president of the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. We talked about Austria, Utah, a lot of things related to the mountain development. And recently we hosted also another ambassador of Austria to the United Nations here a couple of years ago. So it's part of that activities as well.
Hi, I'm also going to take Maureen's second question of how to learn how to influence the communities, your community specifically, to work with little resources financially. I'll take, looking back at my grandparents who actually started that school in Cunén, Guatemala. They started it without any kind of resources. My grandmother was a school teacher in the States before they set up the school, and she brought educational materials that she had gathered from her days of teaching. And when they set it up, they just took a rundown building that happened to be in that community, and they pulled in specifically the parents, because that's how they were able to connect with their youth. Was they wanted to really connect with the parents and show how beneficial it is for education in these rural areas. And so that would be my suggestion, and that's kind of how I have worked as well, is using my experience with our educational background in my family. I have been able to use what I personally love as well, which is art. And I bring that to students, and I use that as a way to help them understand literature, help them want to read, help them want to participate. And it's another way of engaging, is if you were able to use stuff like Shakespeare, where that is more for high schoolers, but it's something that they can connect to physically, and that has also helped them without having any resources, learning how to use the literature and express themselves. If that answers your question a little bit better.
And a lot too is one of the things we offer is that professional development. So we get these parents who need this extra literacy. When I came here, I had no plans on doing this. I wanted to finish my education as soon as possible because I have young kids at home. My youngest is 3, and I want to be home with them. But our mentor reached out, and a lot of that's where it comes from, is that reach out and that engagement and that hope that we try to give people. He said, you're not too old to have your dreams. It's okay that you're a mom too. Bring your kids with you. Many of our events, I have a little 3-year-old that snuggles with me through our Zoom calls. We have to be inclusive and understanding of other people's needs. And that's what keeps our members going, and what motivates them is because we don't just say do it and leave them alone. We guide them, we give them hope, and we help them all together so that no one is carrying too much. No one has to put all the resources on themselves. It's through a group, so it's shared through everyone with understanding of each other's circumstances.
And maybe I'll add a little bit because it's about money, And please keep in mind, it's clubs, they have requirements here. Students need to host at least one event per semester, each club, yeah? And if they'll do that, they will have $100. So that's why we have 3 clubs. It means $300. For example, now when they are hosting this event, they need to submit a report about that event, and they'll have $300 for 3 clubs, yeah? If we need some other money, we need to go to my department and say, we have already $300. Would you please to give us at least maybe 100? Not a lot, but a little bit. Then we'll go to the college and say, we already have here. I mean, students need to go and present their case while they're speaking about this huge event. And in this way, in 2015, students hosted Women of the Mountains conference, 100 people. $30,000 were raised by going around, little by little, learning. And certain amount of money, 300, 400, no. And as a result of that, it comes the entire village, I mean, contributes little by little. So that's why the trick here, do not get big grant. Why? Because there are no incentives there to do these things. It needs to go little by little, each of them they're bringing. Like, selling oranges. Just 1 month ago, students sold oranges by boxes. As a result, Orem Rotary now gives part of that, again, money which they were able to get from that back to their, again, chest, to that financial, to the funds. You see, go all over and working. It makes a difference.
We have the president of the SNOWS global, or their student national involvement organization. And he wanted to kind of share some of his experiences because they live in a very rural, low income area. So I'll turn over to Philip just for 1 minute.
Thank you, Aletha Thompson. Yeah, so my name is Philip Johnson. I'm from Snow College, Utah. And I'm the president of our Student Nation Organization Club. And I love this financial question that got brought up, because I had the opportunity at the end of February to go with Texas A&M University in Kingsville, Texas, to a Model United Nation conference. And so I went to the college to try to help seek funding and didn't receive any. And so I had the opportunity to go around to the community myself, asking for just small contributions, $5, $10. But I went to enough people and then had enough myself to be able to go to this conference and go on this experience and be able to get more experiences working on real problems, so that when I come to the Commission on the Status of Women, 66, I have more experience to help share and help other students, including my fellow club members, help them prepare more and be ready for these opportunities to help share and grow through this student engaged learning module. So, thank you.
Thank you, Philip. And that will conclude our session today. We want to thank each of you for attending. If you would like to know more, we have our blog at uvu.edu/UIMF, and it will be in the chat too. Once again, thank you for attending.